call the roll.
Mr. Picard,
Here.
Mr. White, Mr. Coots,
Here.
Ms. Trier,
Here.
Mr. Polacek.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the correction. The minutes were mailed out, and if there are no corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second,
And Mr. Coots will second.
it's moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Let's do that by voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Minutes have been approved. Moving on to the public comment section. And Lisa, was there any input from you in people who want to speak? Whether, I don't see anybody in the audience, however, other than Lisa. What, online, is there anyone?
I have no one online.
Okay, so hearing nobody here, section 4 has been closed. Let's move to director reports, please.
Thank you, Mr. Polacek. So since we met last, in the last 4 weeks, we've been fairly active, especially with the electric department. We'll start with streets. We've been doing a good deal of landscaping the last 4 weeks. We are going to continue on College Street with some landscaping in the next 2 weeks. Slide. Wrong direction. There we go. So we've had from the College Street project, some areas grass has not grown in, so the street department is taking up restoring some of these again. Slide. And slide. So we power rake this, and then I have the whole crew out cleaning it up, and then we seed it and mat it. Slide. And we've also, of course, been doing potholing. This was just before the Memorial Day Parade when we were on Main Street, so we had to institute traffic control. Slide. But the crew spent over a week doing this activity as well. Slide. Slide. And we did some training in streets. Not many of our operators know how to use the street sweeper, so we invited a technician in who gave us about a 2-hour demonstration on our street sweeper. And this was very valuable time. And we had the whole crew there to learn. Slide. And slide. So since we met last, we had a tornado that had touched down on May 15th. And at that time, myself and our electrical foreman, Austin Nice, were at a training session in La Crosse, along with many of the other co-op municipalities. And then in that evening, the tornado had struck, and it struck in Juneau. And Juneau, as you know, probably is part of our co-op. So our phone started going off the hook. And then because so many team leaders were in La Crosse, they all started to scramble to help. I, at the time, was having dinner with Barry Sorensen, the director in Waterloo, and we hurried back to hotel and we assembled a team of Waterloo, Jefferson, Columbus, and Hartford, and started working our phones, dispatching our crews, and coordinating. I gave Bill here a call. He was going to mobilize his team to get our vac truck out there. Turned out that wasn't necessary. But these next few pictures are going to be about that tornado. Slide. So the first few pictures are just a general overview of Juneau. This is Main Street. Our crew arrived in the evening. Slide. And these were when the daylight, this is daylight, so I was able to take clearer pictures. Slide. Slide. And slide. So, as I was saying, the crew arrived in the evening. They are one of about 8. This was a tragedy. I don't want to make light of it, but it was also inspiring just how many of these professionals were there with all their equipment and how cooperative everyone was. We loaded up all of our trucks with all the equipment and material we could carry, such as cross arms there, transformers, extra line, splice kits, insulators, and the crew worked through the night. Slide. And this is going into the evening, looking down their main street there. And you can just see all the bucket trucks that go on down there. Slide.
So Randy, is this in Mayville or Juneau?
Juneau.
Okay, because Mayville got hit, but are they part of our, nope?
They are not. That was a We Energies problem.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we reestablished their power much faster than We Energies, by the way. This is our crew raising a new pole. This one was damaged at the base. Slide. That's one of our team members. He's setting the transformer up there. Slide. And then I arrived in the morning, and it took a while to find our crew. Slide. And when I did, they were sitting just exhausted under this canopy here.
Yeah.
Slide. And these just, again, some pictures of just downtown in Juneau. Nick Gallman, the superintendent there, had sent out the call. And like I say, we worked with Barry with Waterloo, had his crew there. Brian Rhodes with Hartford, and Columbus, that was Dalton Hiley was there. Slide. Can you back up a little, Dave? I'm sorry. Next slide then. Okay, so this is where Juneau had the worst impact. This is their substation, and they had a primary transmission line that fell into the substation and knocked their power out, and this is very hard to fix. It's a very dangerous situation. Slide. You can see from the distance the primary there that fell into the substation. Slide. And, some much bigger equipment than we have here in Lake Mills was on site, thank goodness. Slide. And I hope no one was in that trailer at the time, but slide. So I included this picture because it will show you our lineman Lucas is up in the bucket, and he took this because the tornado landed here, started to come across this field and jumped in the air, and it sheared off the top of these trees and this roof, and then landed back in the street and went to that substation. But I saw it was a really fascinating picture where you see the tops of the trees sheared off along with the roof. But yeah, we were there for 24 hours, a little more, 30. Yes. Slide. Also, on a happier note, about 2 weeks ago, the Lake Mills Fire Department had their Touch a Truck event. This is a fundraising event, and they encourage other departments to bring their vehicles out there. The electric department always participates in this. We have our own little pole here that we enable kids, they can strap on a tool belt and climb the pole and get their pictures. The parents like that. It's always been a popular event, item for this event. Slide. And so Lucas here is doing that. We're just suiting the kids up, give them an idea of what it's like to be a lineman. Slide. And this is Austin, our foreman. Slide. And by the way, that is Austin's son, Brooks. So, slide. And one highlight, I don't know how Chief Russ did this, but he got Flight for Life to land. So they came down, stayed for about 5-10 minutes, and then took off again. So it was a very successful event. And I was glad we were able to help a fellow department. Slide. So I don't have too many pictures of Water Department. They, as usual, we were just focused on meter changeouts, trying to get our digital meters installed throughout the city, and we're getting closer to that every day. We are ahead right now in count from this time last year. We've installed more meters this year so far. So we're on track to have that completed by early next year. Slide. So I just threw in, these are the digital readers, and this is what they look like. This is at an apartment complex, and this way we're able to read the data at our office. Slide. And that is just another picture of those. But this is primarily what the water department's been focused on this year. Slide. In wastewater, we had an opportunity to fix a broken line. The town of Lake Mills is working on, they have a road project on Rock Lake Road. Slide. I'm sure you all know, this is Rock Lake Road, and this is County Highway B. Slide. But the sewer system here belongs to us, and it's monitored by Bill, our wastewater foreman sitting next to me. We have a manhole here, and this line, the sewage flows down into the manhole. But the problem was, as Bill is very diligent with televising our lines and checking for any faults, they did discover that this section of pipe seemed to be recessed, and the sewage was not flowing like it should. So we took advantage of the opportunity. We contacted the town of Lake Mills project manager from their engineering firm and told them how we would like, if possible, the opportunity to get in there and fix our line while you're tearing up the road. And they were very gracious about it and gave us a short window, a day, and we were able to accomplish that task. Slide. So this was early in the morning. Big handsome fellow there is Bill. Slide. Sure. This is the manhole. This is our trench box, and they are excavating down to expose the sewer line that is coming into the manhole. Slide. And that is the pipe going into it, and I'll show you very soon where the problem is. Slide. So this is the pipe coming into the manhole, and you'll see the crack right there. Yep. This particular manhole is a drop manhole. These are very common. It's a common solution for us when we have an extreme elevation change. The pipe coming in was approximately 4 or 5 feet higher than the channel at the bottom of the manhole. So an engineering solution is to install a drop manhole to soften and direct the solids down into the channel. Slide. And I included just to help better explain, this is a profile of a standard drop manhole. This is the pipe coming in. We install the drop so it delivers the solids right into the channel. Our crack was right here, and so it knocked everything down, and it was essential that we took advantage of this opportunity to fix it. Slide. And that's what we did. Slide. Oh, and this was the new T.
Yep.
And we installed a new stick of pipe. Slide. And then backfilled everything according to code, and then the project manager took over again. Slide. And we moved on. I'm including an element of our right-of-way permitting. Slide. So I have introduced Sean before. He is our GIS specialist, but he is also our right-of-way officer, permitting officer. So Lake Mills is very lucky to have our zoning administrator, Troy Evanson. But for everything that falls within the right-of-way, any new projects, new construction, that falls to the Department of Public Works and Utilities to oversee. And this is where Sean fills in very well. He's taken this responsibility on, and he's doing a good job. Slide. And so here he is looking at, we have been bombarded in the last 2 years with communication companies wanting to come through town. And quite often they want to blow and go. Install things, make a mess, disrupt other utilities. So it's very important that you stay on them. It's very difficult because they don't want to communicate. They don't want to be held up. Time's money for them. So we have to hawk them continually. Slide. And this is an example. They were coming up Tyranina here. Sean made sure, I mean, he was in communication. With their permit, they have to submit a financial escrow. It's usually very significant, and we will not reimburse that until they have completely restored everything. And it's been given the okay for reimbursement. We'll probably hold on to that escrow for a year until we're completely satisfied that everything was restored properly. But this is just an example. They're installing their line up through the terrace, and this is what we call a communication vault. Slide. And slide. So moving on to projects, Milton Street has started. They have completed their saw cutting, and they have sectioned off the tree protection, or they've installed the tree protection zones. There's not really any pictures to take yet. We anticipate the actual real construction work to start towards the end of this week and into next week. And then I'll have a good deal more to report on that. So, but we are opening up the new yard waste site tomorrow. We've started that work today, actually. Slide. This is a picture of the new yard waste site. It is at the south end of CP Avenue. And we have completely reconstructed or constructed a base. Slide. It's roughly the same dimensions as the one at Stony, just a lot more, it's much safer now. There's more room for traffic to come in and out. They're not going to have problems with mud or anything like that because we have built a very solid base. Slide. And part of that basis is entering in. We've moved all the essential signs over. We are creating a perimeter of block here. Maybe within a year or two, with the budget, if it allows it in the budget, I'll put a fence along, a chain link fence. But for this year, these block will do a good job of keeping traffic out of their vehicles. One thing we had to do, one of the challenges was this CP Avenue could one day become a municipal road. We could extend that. So we had to build that to DOT specifications. It has 16 inches of 3-inch stone at the base, and then we capped it with 1.25 inches. Slide. And that is just a picture looking north. Slide. This is the Stony Road waste site. We have moved all the material out of one half of it. This half is still open at the moment. Tomorrow we will be removing all of that. I have 2 signs like this going up saying no dumping, and I'll have another sign there tomorrow directing everyone to the new yard waste site. I'll also at the new yard waste site be installing signs saying no commercial contractors. I'm meeting tomorrow with a contractor for our gate. We anticipate this to be installed in August. It's going to include a key card system and an automatic gate. And then we still have a budget for 2 cameras that we will be installing, possibly 3. But that is the status of the yard waste site. Tomorrow will be a big day for that. Once we remove everything and change the block structure, we'll be regrading that area behind the block and replanting it with seed and matting. I believe that's it. Slide. Are there any questions?
I just had one more of a question on the tornado response. Those municipalities, they reciprocate, they would come and assist us should a tornado come to Lake Mills like that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We have a very cooperative group. And we are reimbursed for that, for our time and materials.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
So, thank you. Thank you for the nice report, Randy.
Thank you.
So the gate system and card reader system will be installed in August, you said?
That's the goal. That's what I've been told.
Is it contracted?
Yes.
And it's got a date in the contract?
What, I'm sorry?
There's a date in the contract?
No. Lead times vary. The estimates have varied. They have jumped 3 times since my original estimate for it, just because of the scarcity of materials now. So,
And you've worked with the rest of the city staff in how to hand out these key cards or whatever?
we're going to be figuring this out. This is something I've never done, Mr. Picard, but it seems fairly explainable, and I believe, and we're going to have our contractor helping us too. but,
Okay.
Yes.
As I said last year, a system that used license plate readers or even a key code would be easier for, I think, city staff and residents, because you wouldn't have to come physically to the city office to get it, or unless the city office is going to mail them out. I don't know.
No.
They don't do that right now for other things, I know.
We're intending that everyone, all residents who want the key card will register for that here at City Hall.
Yes, which is an effort for the resident and an effort for city staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and there's, in this technological world, there are alternatives. That's all I'll say about it.
In my industry, alternative normally is a code word for expensive. So, but we're moving ahead with the plan that we can afford at the budget, and I think it's going to suffice. It'll work well.
And then maybe this is a subject for a follow-on meeting, or maybe you've already had conversations on this, I'm not sure. What about offering the ability to have town residents also contribute funds in order to use the facility?
Yeah. That is not the Public Works Department's decision to make. I would be directed to do that, or not.
Okay, has the Public Works Board talked about that? Has that been determined?
A year or two ago, there was some discussion with the town board. The town board was aware of the changes that were probably going to occur. It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Now the changes
maybe-
are occurring. It's obvious this is a public meeting. The town can reach out to the city just as easily as the city can reach out to the town.
Yeah, I represent the town, so I'd love to add it to a agenda item, future meeting.
For the town?
For both. I first have to find out if the city is amenable to having some sort of arrangement. And obviously, I have to also report to the town. I do know that town residents have spoken at their annual meeting to the town board. We have a completely new town board at this point, but the old town board, they spoke to them, and this was a significant issue for many residents that they wanted to be able to participate. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
It may be a city council level issue rather than a public works board issue because of the financing and, intermunicipal agreements required.
Sure.
It might be
Sure.
more of a policy issue
Right,
than
than
anything.
than a
and
public
so
works.
I think Drake would want to have,
The lead on it.
weigh in on that and tell us where he needs to put that particular agenda item.
Sure, I can check with that. I just could anticipate him saying, well, what does the Public Works Board feel? Would you be able to support the
Yep.
town using it just from a structural point of view? And then if they say, yeah, we could handle whatever waste is associated with it, then that could be brought forward to the city council, like you say, as an inner agreement. This is just the very beginnings of conversations.
So we'll bring that up at the end of this meeting, section 7.
Sounds great, thank you.
Let's move on to section 6, and that's recommendation on the wastewater treatment compliance maintenance annual report, which was just compiled, I should say. So let's do Randy, are you going to handle that, or?
I invited or asked our wastewater foreman, Bill, to present this. He's primarily responsible for the successful completion of this report. So I'll turn it over to Bill.
Hey, Bill, before you get started, a few years ago, we talked a lot about wastewater treatment plant. and deficiencies, et cetera. And so, it's an A-plus report. So if you could, while you're going through it, if you could kind of highlight what areas of concern there are, and the reasons for that, previous discussions of significant changes.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was just really going to say the report's all A's, so do you even want me to say anything? But apparently you do. I don't have a lot to tell you. Usually I go through, some of you have heard me do this before, maybe some of you haven't.
Right.
It's the 2024 Compliance Maintenance Annual Report it's required by the Wisconsin Admin Code NR 208 to be submitted annually by June 30th. And it's a self-evaluation for the city or for us, for the utility, as well as for the DNR to take a look at how we are complying with our discharge permit and maintaining our plant and our collection system. The report is normally around 28 pages, and this year it's 28 pages. It is broken into 10 sections: influent flow, effluent BOD, effluent total suspended solids, effluent ammonia, effluent phosphorus, biosolids or sludge management, staffing and preventive maintenance, operator certification and education, financial management, and the sanitary sewer collection system. So I normally go through each section and tell you a little something, and I just, as I said, I don't have a lot to say. Section 1, influent flow and loading. The average flow for 2024 was up a bit from 23. 23 was fairly dry. 24 was a little bit wetter year, particularly in June and July. Our flow almost doubled the previous year for that same time period. And that did cause a little more inflow and infiltration. The loading was fairly typical. The BOD was about 74% of design. Section 2, effluent BOD. We had no exceedances of our monthly limits for BOD, and it appears we continue to have the foaming issue under control. I'm sure, Mark, you've heard me previously talk about some foaming that we've had going on, probably industrial-related impacts from things like pH swings or maybe high loadings of grease and things like that that can promote filamentous bacteria or undesirable bacteria to outcompete the ones that we want. And so I think we've got that fairly under control. Section 3, total suspended solids. I didn't have any problems meeting my limits last year. Things were good. Ammonia, same thing. Previously, when I'd have some of those upsets, the nitrifying bacteria are the first impacted by an upset. They die off the soonest or the easiest, and they're the slowest to recover. And so we've had problems with ammonia in the past, but we didn't in 24. It looked good. Section 5, effluent phosphorus. We had some issues in 23, however, in 24, we're able to meet all of our monthly limits. I guess I should point out that right now Lake Mills has a variance for phosphorus. So our limit would be probably 0.075 milligrams per liter, which is very difficult to obtain, and we couldn't do it with the technology we have. So we have this variance which let us maintain our old limit of less than 1 for a while, and now we've dropped to a new limit of 0.8. I'm able to meet that limit with the chemical addition that we use. However, sometimes when we get those pH excursions, when I'll get a higher pH, the chemical we use is aluminum sulfate, it's less effective at higher pHs. Say you get around 8, above 8, it doesn't work as well. So you have to add a lot more chemical to get a lot less bang for your buck, a lot smaller benefit. So there are times when we are impacted by those pH excursions, and that's something that we're looking at going forward with a new plant. I imagine that the limits are going to continue to be stiffer, so we'll need to work with our industries and keep those things under control. That's something I see there. Section 6, biosolids management.
Just, Bill, real
I'm
quick,
sorry.
for the phosphorus, how long do you have the variance in place? You said you have a waiver, how long does that go?
Yeah, as long as the DNR will allow us to renew it currently. This permit is only in effect until December 31st of 2026. So next year, we'll start looking at what we need to do towards a new permit. We're also in planning for a new or a revamped treatment plant. So these things are all kind of hand in hand. I imagine we'll probably be having to renew our permit long before our new treatment plant or our phase 1 is ready to go. So it's a little up in the air. On the variance, that is kind of at the will of the DNR and the EPA. I mean, the DNR is a proxy for the EPA, so they regulate
But
us.
as long as they know that you're working on
Yes,
a permanent solution, they typically will
yes, as
keep
long as they'll,
granting it.
as long as they'll keep renewing the variance, we're good. Yeah.
Is there a timeline on what you called phase 1?
So for when we're gonna start phase 1?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have it yet. The engineer is working on specifications. Randy and I met with some folks from the engineering firm this past week, and they did a walk around the plant, and we looked at what some of the needs are. Some of the things you asked me about previously, I mean, our wastewater plant was new when I started. It was under construction, actually, in 1990, 91. So all of our, well, not all of our, but most of our electronics, our motor control centers, all those things, the wiring that's in the ground is that vintage. And that's getting up towards the end of its life cycle. I mean, those things just don't go forever. You start to have problems with motor starters and control buckets and things. And when you need parts, if you're looking on eBay, you're not in a good place, So that's where we're getting to that point. A lot of the electrical wires that are buried in the ground, I'm not an electrical engineer, but I know that they have a lifespan and then they'll fault. They'll go to ground. And so, things like that. Our concrete structures are in good shape, but as we've previously discussed, the footprints are large, and I imagine in the future, we might have to go to a little bit more compact technology to fit on that site. Our influent screening building, we've had a screen that's worked well for probably since, I believe, 2004. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was about 2004. And now we're starting to see more problems because of all the flushable wipes and the plastics and the things that are coming. They just sit and they roll on the bottom of the channel, and the screen can't lift them up. And so we're gonna,
It's a walking screen, right?
yeah.
Kinda? No? That's,
This-
I know it was updated probably back in 2004.
Yeah,
Because we've always had an issue
it's-
with
it's a
rags
s-
in the city, right?
It's a step screen, so.
Yep, that's what, yeah.
Yep, so you have several steps that stay in place and several in between them that move. So
Right.
one moves and it takes the stuff up one stationary step until the flow can go through.
Right.
It's a pretty good process, but we're starting to get large amounts of wipes and things like that, and they ball up down there, and it won't lift this big ball of plastic because it just rolls
Right,
off.
it's too big.
And so we have to manually go down and clean it. I think besides that, our screens will no longer be adequate for the flow requirements that we'll have to have. as we're growing. Just the hydraulic capacity of the screen is inadequate. So we'll probably have to replace, I would imagine, both screens. We'll probably go with a little different technology, something that's maybe going to take us a little further down the road. We'll be looking at new flumes and flow meters to keep track of what the flows are, new influent pumping and valving. A lot of the gates around the treatment plant that we have to operate occasionally don't really operate without a truck, a maul, a pickaxe, a pry bar, and two guys, pounding and prying. And so there's things like that. There's the clarifiers. We would probably be adding a clarifier for the increased flow and potential loading. And so I guess further, we would be looking at doing away with chlorine for disinfection. Chlorine is toxic to aquatic life as well as people. I've been hit with it. I don't care much for it. And so we use chlorine gas, and I think we'll probably move away from that and go with UV or something else for disinfection.
To answer your original question, though, we were in the early concept stage.
Yep, I kind of got
And-
that from the discussion.
Yeah, no, I was just going on. He was asking me why
Yeah.
what are some of the things that we're replacing, and I'm
Yes,
trying to
and
speak to
appreciate
that.
that.
Sorry if I got sidetracked there.
If I may,
Mentioned an engineering firm, just real quick, which engineering firm are you using? Is it still Strand?
Strand Associates, that feasibility study is due in the fall.
Okay.
And I would anticipate that they would present at this board and the council once that feasibility study is complete.
A long time ago now, the Public Works Board did a tour of the wastewater treatment plant, and I found it very informative because you could see what Bill talks about.
Yeah.
So I would,
I would love to.
Right.
I would love to have it again.
sometime in the near future or in the fall, whatever works,
Yeah.
just as a suggestion here.
Yep, sure.
If I may, as just a history, this board used to do a spring tour, not necessarily of the treatment plant, but of projects, if you recall.
Yes.
And
But
maybe
there was a foot on the ground through the wastewater treatment plant once.
as well. So
Yeah.
maybe the discussion maybe as a potential is a revisiting of the tour, whether it be treatment plant or other projects in the city.
Sure.
Got it. Noted.
Okay, well, getting back to section 6, biosolids management. Again, when we're going forward at the new plant, currently we're using Class B liquid sludge. And I think I think we all feel here that the future of it's probably going to be moving towards cake. And so we're going to be looking at the options for that, if it's cost effective and so on. Section 7, staffing and preventive maintenance. We had some problems with staffing over the past years, like all departments, I think like everybody has. In '24, we were shorthanded for part of the year, but I think we've put a lot of the worst of those staffing issues behind us now. I've got three members that have been with us for a couple of years that are just really outstanding. I can't say enough good about the people we've got working there, and I'm proud of them. And so we've hired another young fella, and so we're in pretty good shape on staff right now. We're training him up, and we'll get him up to speed, I'm sure. Section 8, operator certification. I currently hold all the certifications to run the treatment plant. And in past years, sometimes I was the only one there that did. Now I'm happy to report that Judy Tholen, our lab manager, has reattained all her advanced licenses, so she could also run the plant, as well as one of our newer operators, Jim Strike, has passed all his advanced exams, I believe. He's just waiting on getting his experience in, so I don't want to be replaced, but I'm replaceable, so that's good news for you. And, Section 9, financial management. Sam largely completes this section. I think Dwayne helps out with some of the numbers, and once in a while, there's 2 cents I put in on it, but I looked through it, it looks as though we have about a $77,000 surplus in our equipment replacement fund, so that's in good shape. And if you look at page 18, the future planning section, the projects down there, sometimes in the past, in way past years, we've maybe only had 4 or 5 projects. I think there was about 9 last year. I think we're up to 16 or something. And so staff has worked to try to make that more closely mirror the CIP project list. I think Dwayne's had a good bit to do with that. Section 10, sanitary sewer collection system, that addresses the backup spills and goals. If you've looked at the report, you can see we had 2 spills, and those were pipe failures of force main pipes.
Yep.
Most, I won't say all, but most of our spills tend to be failure of force main pipes. And one was on South Ferry Drive and one was on Sherwood Hills Road, kind of near Upper and Lower, near Lake Lane out there in the town. We had about 8 complaints and 2 sewer backups that were our problem or caused by one of our pipes. So those are the ones that the DNR counts against us. And that's about what I had. I guess I'm open to questions if you guys have any more questions for
I
me.
have a few questions, Bill.
Uh-oh.
On the, I think it's section 5.3, is that rainfall, it looks like inflows are higher April through July. Is that always seasonal, or is there, is that does
where
that
are we at?
fluctuate at all, year by year, or is that usually you can anticipate higher inflows during those months every year?
Where are you looking?
Section 5.3.
Give me a second.
We had higher inflows April through July. And where it has the inflows looks like it's listed also by the month too. It's broken out.
I'm not,
We have seasonal inflows.
Page 26 is the
page 26, second to last. Okay, give me a second. Let me get it. Yeah.
Are they 2 different things?
Okay, they're asking me to explain any inflow or infiltration changes this year from the previous year, and I just said that the rainfall was higher than average from the storms, yeah. April and June caused, maybe I misspoke with April. Let me look here.
But then there's a breakout page that
I think I
shows.
meant
the
June
monthly-
and July.
That was towards the beginning, right?
Yes.
Towards the beginning, and it was inflows by month.
Yeah, April, the flow starts to go up. So April through July, really it is.
And my question has to do, can that be anticipated every year, that
Yeah,
group of months?
It's always wetter than in the spring. The flow always goes up a little, but if you look at the previous year, this is a little bit extra. Yeah, it's, as I said in the beginning, if you look, I mean, in April, it starts to go up, but you get by June and July, the flow there is pretty much double what it was in
Right.
'23.
Right.
We do have some infiltration issues within our system.
Okay.
You always do, right?
There are some, and we work on televising to find them, and we can do point repairs when we find leaks and try to put a patch on them and make them stop leaking. I'm suspicious that a lot of our water comes from basement drains and sump pumps that are connected to city sewer from wet areas, and people are either, it's running in their basement and going down the floor drain, or they're in a depressed area where the only way they get rid of the water is run it into the sewer, so they're putting it in the sump pump into the sewer,
Okay.
Which is not allowed.
which is technically not allowed, but you'd have to have a program of going door to door and looking for it and inspecting and then enforcing that.
Yeah.
And that, there hasn't been a lot of desire to do that.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question I had is, section 6.3 says, asks if an energy study has been performed on our pump lift stations. And really the question there is that necessarily, I mean, if you've, I think we've replaced a couple of our lift stations.
Are we, hang on, you said, okay, so you're back in the financial section, I think?
Yeah, 6.3.
So I think the confusion that Bill and I are having is there's each
Every section
section
has-
has a number that's
the same
6
numbering.
It's the same number.
So it's, I'm having trouble finding it, yeah.
And the form doesn't have page numbers on the physical
Well,
pages,
yeah, our
does
forms
it?
don't have, it's in
They don't-
financial. It's
And then they don't put page numbers on the pages, so
page number on
I
mine.
go through and number them myself when I start, otherwise I have no idea where I'm at.
So
I need
Bill,
to do that. That's a great suggestion.
I
This is
think-
financial management.
I think we're looking at financial management 6.3, Bill. It's on
You got a page
page
number there?
19.
You got a page number there, Dwayne?
All right.
I have a page number.
Hey, an energy study is not required. What they're trying to do, I think, is to get this body or the council to, or just to do an energy study so that we could be more efficient. You know, I think that's the idea behind it, is looking for efficiency.
But if you have date of installations on your pumps and you're putting in efficient pumps,
Yes.
Waste your time.
But we can do things, and I think I note that somewhere, we're looking for opportunities to avoid double pumping
Yeah.
of sewage lift stations. So we have several stations in series. So Lakes, or Sandy Beach pumps to Lakeside. So if we can find a way, if we have to revamp that anyway, and it is cost effective, and that's the key, then we would look to not repump that sewage a second time, because there's a cost to that.
right.
So we've talked about a manifold system there, right?
That was out in the sanitary district.
Right.
We talked about a manifold
We haven't done it though, have we?
it's very expensive. It's in, there's a placekeeper, I think, in here in the project list on
It's on page 18.
18.
Thank you.
Let me see.
It's there. Number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, lift station 15, Echo Bay, and 16. So
Big number.
that just addresses 2 of the stations that go around the lake. And then, I mean, everything has trade-offs, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep, but that would be another way you might get rid of double pumping. Other things such as using VFDs to power pumps, you can save some electricity there, things like that, efficient pumps. Yep, we're always looking to do those things when we can.
Okay, thank you. The last question I have is, this is a great report. We've gotten grade A's in all 10
That's
categories.
because of Bill.
Pardon?
That's because of Bill.
Yeah.
That's because of my staff, and I want to thank my staff. They've done an outstanding job.
Yeah, but then when you look at section 4 in staffing and preventive maintenance, it says overall, we've rated ourselves a good.
Well, I've done
Shouldn't we
that.
be a very good? I mean, you're underrating
No,
yourself.
I think there's things we could have done better. So my staff is a little green, they're fairly new, they're really great people, but we're working towards trying to get where, I'm working towards very good, but I don't feel we're there yet.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you. Well, I think it's a nice report. Thank you for
Thank you.
compiling it. Any other questions? Okay, so then I think we need to have a resolution on that. We need a vote on this in order to approve this report.
I'm just going to, the prepared motion is for the city council, so I'm just going to do our part of it and say, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the city council acceptance and filing with the state the 2024 wastewater treatment plant compliance maintenance annual report.
Is there a second?
Mr. Coots will second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the CMAR report for the wastewater treatment plant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Coots,
Aye.
Ms. Trier,
Aye.
Mr. Polachek,
Aye.
Mr. Picard.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay, thank you. So then that moves us to section 7, and that's the recommendation for future agendas. And from what I've heard here tonight, the first one would be a tour of the wastewater treatment plant and maybe perhaps some other facilities in the Public Works Department. And then the other item that I had here was the use of the CP yard waste station by the Lake Mills town, and whether or not that comes to this board or the city council, let's just put it as a recommendation for a future agenda for the city to determine where they want to discuss that issue. Does anyone else? And then we're getting a wastewater treatment plant update in the fall, correct? So then that, I don't think we have to recommend that because it's going to happen. So, does anyone else have any items to add to number 7?
I think that's a record number.
I know. Okay, with that in mind, moving to adjournment, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Great.
Do you have